Welcome in another edition of Ritchie and Rob. He's Jon Ritchie, NFL veteran, talk show host at 94 WIP. I am Rob Ellis, and we are Ritchie and Rob, betPARX. All right, John, so let's look ahead here. The Eagles, 5.5-point favorites on the betPARX app, over under about 45.5, 46 here. Surprisingly, Tampa off to a 2-0 start, or maybe not surprisingly considering who they play, but nonetheless, battle the 2-0s here. You got the 2-0 Eagles, 2-0 Bucks. Baker Mayfield playing very smart football, not turning the ball over, and they're racking up the sacks, John. Vita Vea has been a beast, as you would expect. 6 sacks. What do you think about this Tampa team?
They're better than I expected them to be. And that's mostly because Baker Mayfield is better than I expected him to be. As you said, he's playing smart football. They made a big deal last week about how he was decoding signals on the sideline, something that, some advanced stuff. I didn't think of him as the heady quarterback. I thought of him as the gutsy quarterback, but he's sort of putting it all together now. Later in his career, he's been around long enough that he knows what he's looking at, and he's letting the offense work for him. They run the ball a lot. Rachaad White carries the ball a lot for him. That balance helps Baker Mayfield, and the play actions are in there. It certainly helps that you got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the outside to throw to. I am worried if we are depleted at the cornerback spot, how we're going to contend with those receivers, because they are incredible. But yeah, they're better than expected offensively. And of course, defensively, we know they're fast. Todd Bowles is a defensively minded guy who had his way with us in the postseason 2 years ago. And if you'll recall, he's the guy who said Jalen Hurts can't read. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Jalen Hurts can't read.
Yep.
Now, he couldn't then in the postseason. That was the first year he played as a starter.
Yep.
He was struggling with it because Todd Bowles did a great job of mixing things up and making it difficult for him to decode. I'm positive that with what we're seeing in the NFL now, the way the teams are dealing with ride and decide stuff, Todd Bowles is going to show us looks that are similar to the looks we've got in the last couple of weeks that we haven't had a plethora of answers for. What we did against the Vikings was we went back to the basics, the bread and butter, ran the inside zone, and ran it 48 times.
Worked quite well.
I would like to be able to do other things too. Get the passing game working a little bit more. Get the passing game rhythmic like it was late in the Vikings game. We've got our work cut out against this Todd Bowles defense.
Here's the question I want to ask you about with Tampa's offense. How concerned are you with a secondary and a linebacking core that's a little bit banged up and a little bit inexperienced with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin?
Yeah.
Cade Otton had a pretty good game last week. Their tight end. He's a little bit underrated. Doesn't get the love, but he can play a little bit too. And Mayfield kind of feeling himself here. I mean, look, you're right. They rushed for 73 yards. I think White did last week and gave him a little bit of balance. They weren't particularly balanced the week before. I think the thing is the Eagles can stuff the run game, which they've been good at so far, and make them a one-dimensional team just throwing. Might give you some hope to get to Mayfield, but those guys are going to be trouble, man, on the outside for Tampa.
They're trouble for everyone. Look, Darius Slay, last week, we were so excited. Justin Jefferson, he got some against Darius Slay because Darius Slay is not the only cover guy who's going to end up on top receivers. Right. And this week, you got 2 of them. So you know for sure you're going to have breakdowns, young guys. I'm hoping that a lot of these guys come back. James Bradbury was in the concussion protocol. We never have any idea how long that's going to take. Reed Blankenship with the ribs. I guess early indications were positive that he might have a chance. So I think we're going to get these guys back. I'm hoping, fingers are crossed. That's the best way we can contend with Godwin and Evans. Yeah. Get these guys back who know what they're doing.
That's going to be, because you saw a lot of communication breakdowns. I mean, guys were not within a zip code, of wide open receivers. And that's a testament to just how young they are and inexperienced they were back there. Yeah, for sure. So that it is going to be interesting to see what happens there. Certainly defensively, 8 sacks for Tampa, something to keep your eye on, because the Eagles' offensive line has given up sacks at a higher rate than we've seen in years past, John, for any number of reasons. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to see. Hey, let me remind everybody, get ready for the ultimate thrill with the primetime extra down promotion only on the betPARX app. Here's what you have to do. Opt in and bet $20 or more on tonight's prime time game. Create a same game parlay with 3 or more legs at plus 300 odds or higher. And the best part, no matter the outcome, you'll score a $20 bonus bet. You can opt in to this promotion every week on every primetime game. So Thursday, Sunday, and Monday, head to the betPARX app and check out Primetime Extra Down. In this game, I like the over 45.5. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored, even though Tampa's got a good defense. I think the Eagles' passing game will get its act together, and I think the Eagles are going to struggle against the Packers receivers. Could be a high-scoring game. John, how do you see this thing playing out?
I do think our offense is going to be a lot better, Bert. I'm positive that this coaching staff, they've got a lot of pride. They've seen now for 2 weeks the unique looks that defensive coordinators are giving us. And they've got 11 days, with the Thursday night game to the Monday night game. They've got 11 days to go back to the drawing board and come up with some new ideas to give us a better chance against these looks where they're messing with our heads. They're doing everything they can to make it impossible to tell which offensive linemen are blocking which defensive linemen. And I think that's gotten inside Jalen's head a little bit. He's not trusting the protection. He needs to get to where he can do that, where he can actually step up in the pocket, keep his eyes downfield. He's been accurate throwing the ball. He has not been smart with where he's going with it on every play. He needs to get better at that. I'm sure they've been working with him on that in an honest way all week long. And they're going to do some great teaching, some great coaching over these 11 days that we have to get this team ready. Jalen Hurts is going to get right. This is still a developmental month for this Eagles team. They've sort of hinted at the fact that this is our preseason, and we're going to have to deal with some of the knocks and pings along the way where guys aren't feeling their best at all times. They're not playing their best, but we are winning.
That's it. It's a lot easier to fix things when you're winning. That's for sure. All right. John and I will be doing this each and every week. It's Richie and Rob, presented by the great folks at betPARX. You bet betPARX. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Bert.